Skirt, skirt. Told you we always been ready. I don't need people that's petty, that weigh on me heavy while I'm being steady. I need a record with Felly. We get it bouncing like Betty's, I feel like I'm Nelly. Don't bring the beef like a deli. It's leaving I levy, no sleeping on me like I'm Freddy. Chris Breeze, how I do, hit him with the moves. Left hand step back, ballin' like I'm Coos. All faith, God's plan, you just gotta choose. God slaps, nothing left to prove. Y'all gotta leave me alone. Lately I've been in my zone. Told them no cap like I fitted, but lately the flows have been straight off the dome. I feel like I'm MVP, like my name Patty Mahomes. If it ain't about money, don't hit up my phone, cause lately I've been in my zone.
Hello, welcome to the Cowboy Show, hosted by Ben Carey and Nick Gronerad, combining expert human opinions with cutting-edge simulation models to help you arrive at the best picks each week. Inside Edge Community. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to today's stream. We have college basketball, as always. I don't know why I always say that, right? We have college basketball, like you were expecting anything else. But I am extremely excited for today's slate. I haven't felt this good coming into a day in a while. So I'm excited, and I think that a lot of the games that we're talking about are games that I do have a lot of confidence in, which is unusual. Ben, how are you feeling today?
I'm feeling good. You know, the last few days, seeing the board pretty well. But what I mean by that is, I'm not betting spots where I feel like they're kind of trappy, and I'm more times than not correct about that. And I have a good feel of things right now, and maybe that's counterintuitive to like how a lot of people feel about college basketball the last few days. But I think now we get into that point of the season where things tighten up a little bit, which can be a good and bad thing for some. But for us, right, the way we look at these games, I think the variance starts to decrease a little bit, and you start to get a better representation on the court of what we're expecting these teams to do. Yeah.
And so I think we're also at the point in the season. This is going to be a point of note. I know in at least one game that we're talking about coming up, it's starting to be senior day for a lot of these teams.
We'll talk. We'll get into more about that because Nick has some thoughts. I have some thoughts, and I think we'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll flesh it all out. So hello to everyone in the chat. Pick 6 said, I thought this was the swimming stream, and I responded with the swimming in cash.
I mean, at some point, but that's probably way down the list of priorities.
Sick Money said, will the model dashboard be up? Dashboard is down at the moment. There's an issue that happened overnight where the place where we're sourcing our odds and our games from changed up a ton of their formatting. So we have some work to do in the back end to kind of make changes to correspondingly adjust our formatting. And yeah, Yaya will say that basing a pick off of senior day isn't capping LOL. I agree. I think it's a very small piece of information, and the question is more, is it baked into the line too much, too little, or just right? That's the question that you kind of have to answer with that.
What is it even worth?
Yeah, exactly. Right? Like, is it worth a half a point? Is it worth negative points because they start all of their backup seniors? And then you get like 2 minutes of basketball with bad players on the court, right?
Yeah.
So it's just something that's important to talk about from a discussion standpoint, so everybody's on the same page that it's happening. Could not agree more that basing a pick off of only that is not good handicapping. That's not a plus EV solution.
Yeah, 100%. The same thing when it's like, oh, they're wearing new uniforms, which I wish was like kind of a joke, but people are starting to. Anyways, this isn't the stream for that. If you want to throw out those things, like, we're not going to make fun of you, but we'll probably disregard that.
Yeah, we'll acknowledge the statement and say, I don't think this is that important.
We're not here to bash because, look, I'm wrong 45% of the time. So
Yeah, and that's all you can ask for. All right, so for anybody who might be new or wants a little refresher, here is how the stream works. So we have 5 categories, which you can see on the bottom left-hand side of the screen. For the first 4 categories, we have a game that we have selected that fits that category. It is 4 games that are interesting for 4 different reasons. We will talk about the games. Ben will give his lean. I will give my lean. And as the audience, you get to vote on your lean as well. Your opinion will be heard. The final category is our best bets. This is where our actual money is on today's slate. Ben will again give his best bet. I will give my best bet, and we will poll the chat to see where chat's best bets are. So without further ado, let's go ahead and hop into category number 1.
Court streakers.
We're going streaky! Yes!
So category number 1, court streakers, where we talk about a team that is on some kind of hot or cold streak, either against the spread or on totals. And the team that we're talking about today is St. John's. So St. John's today, 5-point favorites at home against Creighton. Total in this game set at 150, although we care a little bit more about the spread since St. John's has covered. What has it been, 6 games in a row?
I believe it's 6 in a row going for 7. Yeah. Or maybe 5 going for 6, because they lost to Seton Hall by... Oh, wait, I'm looking at... Hold on. I think it is 5 going for 6.
Okay, yeah, I think it's 5 going for 6.
Because Georgetown, they didn't cover, maybe? By... Either way, they're either streaking 5 or 6 going.
Yeah. So, Ben, do you think the streak continues today?
Yes, I do. Okay, so here's why. I think first and foremost, and we have another category for revenge spot, but this would technically fit a revenge spot because in their first matchup, you had Creighton shooting the lights out, 14 for 27 from 3, right? And they won 87-64. And we all know that St. John's away from home hasn't been the best team, right? But when we talk about revenge, like that, the regression has to kind of fit that, right? We can't just say like, oh, they're going to go get them, right? Yeah. They're angry that they lost that first game. The second part of that, and this is where like, you know, if you want to handicap and be sharper, you have to look and see like what happened in that first game. Do we expect that to happen again? Now, there could be something fundamentally that St. John's does defensively, maybe that caused them to shoot 14-27. I'm going to speculate, pretty confident that there wasn't anything in outlier,
and especially looking at the fact that there was 3 players on Creighton who went a combined 13 for 19, right? You can literally have NBA players in the 3-point contest who don't shoot 13 for 19 when they're wide open professionals with no defender on them, right? I mean, that's I don't love using like the whole due for regression narrative. I think that gets misconstrued in a lot of spots. But when you have teams that shoot like that, that is something that you can expect to regress pretty heavily, even over a short time span.
Yeah, great way to point it out, right? It's the due for regression. It doesn't mean like, oh, this next game, boom, right? It doesn't necessarily work that way. But what I do see here is a home spot for St. John's. Again, they're playing good basketball. They've been covering. And it just seems like this spread is, again, I think it's where it should be, right? I don't think we're like necessarily getting a lot of value. But at the same time, I think the upside for St. John's to have a really good outing today is making me feel more comfortable about this.
Yeah, I like the spot here for St. John's as well. For really a lot of the same reasons that you said. Also, I think it is important to point out that Arthur Kaluma forward who averages 25 minutes a game for Creighton, is going to be out in this one. Not really that St. John's wins through their front court. It's definitely through their guard play that they do. But yeah, it's still important to point that out.
Nick, one other thing I want to mention. I will say that Creighton needs some good wins, some quality wins. If you're looking at Joe Lenardi's bracketology, they're kind of on the bubble right now. But at the same time, they have St. John's, Providence, Connecticut, Seton Hall. So it's not like this is that one game that they have to win type thing. But again, that's all kind of cooked into this.
Yeah. Also, so the model does have St. John's covering this game. That is my last point here. So the chat, it appears, agrees with us. So vote is just closing up now. It looks like we've got 22 votes on St. John's compared to 9 votes on Creighton. So we are unanimous here. I still need to go back and figure out what the record is when everybody is on the same pick. I feel like it's pretty good.
Hey, chat went 0-5 on Monday, right?
Chat did go 0-5 on Monday. That's okay though. I don't hold that against chat. Everybody goes 0-5. I've never been 0-5 on stream before, but I will be.
I have for baseball before.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Not on college basketball.
We definitely had some 0 for days on baseball last year.
Yeah, and real quick, I wanted to address this comment about the spread seems a little high. I mean, maybe, but one thing that I do like people to think about is when you have a spread of -5 and a total of 150, which for college basketball is high. I feel more comfortable with a -5 in college basketball, and especially a team like Creighton who shoots a lot of threes, because this is something that Nick talks a lot about with variance, right? Mm-hmm. And if Creighton gets cold for even like 5-6 possessions, St. John's is efficient on offense. All of a sudden, you have like an 8 swing right there. So I'm okay with. I know 5 maybe seems a little high, but I'm just okay with that.
Yeah, I'm with you. So a couple comments that have been rolling in the chat over the last 5 minutes or so. Jay Smitty, yes, we remember your Maryland pick. It slapped.
I can't forget it at this point.
Dilberto, thank you for tuning in. Welcome. Says
can I say something about Dilberto?
And also Dilberto, also thank you for the tier 1 subscription. Appreciate that.
I pride myself, Nick, in being a man of fit. No, I pride myself capping like Mountain West pretty well. Like I like to say, I'm like one of the better handicappers. Dilberto is one guy I would say is sharper than me. Saying a lot, so keep it up, buddy.
Yeah, no, it always feels good to be on the same side of Dilberto, especially in the Mountain West.
Speaking of this, I think he's on the same side as us.
Yeah, we'll touch on that in a second. Nick's dog is going crazy. Yeah, she decided to wait to eat her breakfast until we were on stream. So yeah, she has a metal bowl. Her tags were like smacking up against that as she was going to town. Lucky Strike said, Nick, you have definitely lost 5 straight on Trent stream. I have. I have lost my last 5 on Trent stream. That is a complete fact.
Sure, it's not 0-4?
No, it's 0-5.
Hey Nick, what do we say? Like, if you bet enough, you will go 0-10.
Yeah, I'm not concerned about it. I mean, I feel bad. I know like at least one of those picks ruined one of the parlays. I know. I mean, and for anybody who tails them, I'm sorry. It's just the way that it goes, right? I mean, you get hot, you get cold. You just gotta have your hots be hotter than your colds are cold.
Dilberto is a wagon and has a wagon. Mm-hmm. I was gonna say live in a wagon, but then that makes it sound like he's not a wagon. But that's the story for
now. All right. So let's go ahead now and move along to category number 2.
Payback game.
Back to back like I'm Jordan 96, 97, whoa.
Robbed you in your city and you told. Tory from the 6, you hating on him, Lord knows.
I'm out here looking for revenge.
Tory from the 6, you hating on him, Lord knows.
I'm out here looking for revenge.
from the 6, you hating on him, Lord knows. I'm out here looking for revenge.
Oh, that was weird.
What happened?
Apologies for the confusing audio. Where I have where I'm signed in to do the polls, the volume unmuted over there. So we got some double audio on that. But anyways, the revenge game today. We have Wyoming and Colorado State in what should be an excellent game. So Wyoming is a 6.5 point underdog. Colorado State 6.5 point favorite in Fort Collins at Colorado State. Over under in this game set at 144.5. So Ben, what is the revenge narrative here?
So the revenge narrative. This is probably one of the best revenge spot games we've covered. And the reason why is because, first of all, this is a rivalry. This is a legit rivalry. A lot of people don't know how big of rivalry it is. It's called the Border War. It's in college basketball and college football. These teams are separated by 50 miles. And in that first game, which was in Laramie, it was a wild game. It went into overtime. Wyoming was down, I believe, 8 points in like the last 5 minutes, crept their way back in, went into overtime. David Roddy and Graham Ike fouled out. Now, the CSU side of things, like the CSU backers and the CSU fans are like, oh, the ref screwed us. But at the same time, I'm like, both of the best players on each team fouled out. So it was kind of like a net, in my opinion. But that's not how CSU views it, right? They took it personal. They thought like their call was horseshit. They got screwed over, right? And they lost by 6 in OT. And now Wyoming coming back to FOCO. Second matchup. This spread is 6.5. And initially when I saw that, I'm like, whoa. Wyoming's a really good team. In my opinion, Wyoming and Colorado State are basically on the same level talent-wise. So now we're getting a spread of 6.5. I'm a little surprised. I guess I can see why, because of the revenge narrative. But when I'm looking at this, I think the spread should be 3.5, 4, and I have to take Wyoming. I have to.
Yeah, I'm with you, Ben. I mean, and I think even just comparing this to some of the other revenge spots today, this really is the line that stands out as being egregiously over-adjusted. Right? I really don't understand why this is at 6.5. If this was sitting at even down at 5.5, I would have a lot more hesitation. But I feel like 6.5, just even if it comes down to the fouls at the end, that is a pretty big extra point to be getting here. I mean that's kind of, I mean it's like a 2-possession game into a 3-possession game. Is the difference that extra point makes. So
and Nick, I guess the only like argument I could make is Colorado State can shoot the 3 ball well, but lately they've been kind of inconsistent. If you look at their last few games, like going 5 for 22 against UNLV, right? And also, last point I'll make is at home CSU's 5-7 ATS, and a lot of people were telling me they're like, "Oh, Fort Collins is a tough place to play the altitude," and talked about this. The altitude in Laramie is higher than Colorado State. Like that is neutralized. They cancel each other out. That isn't an argument. And on top of that, Colorado State hasn't been playing well at home against teams like UNLV who come in and win by 20 points, right? So
yeah,
it's just something to consider. And I think the home court and the revenge spot is just inflating this line way too much.
Yeah, I agree. And also, so is it because Wyoming isn't good on the road? So Wyoming, they've lost a couple of road games this year. They lost at New Mexico pretty recently. That was last Tuesday on the 15th, and that's not a good loss.
Yeah,
that's a game that they were favored by by 5.5 at home, and they lost that game, or on the road, and they lost that game outright by 9. But New Mexico just shot the lights out, as they can from time to time. They shot 47% from 3. Aside from that, they lost at Boise by 3.
Tough.
In a game that was tied inside the last 2 minutes, and they lost at Arizona, who's one of the best teams in the country.
But they beat Fresno State on the road.
Yeah, they've knocked off Fresno on the road. They knocked off Utah State on the road. They knocked off Nevada on the road, and they also beat Air Force on the road and San Jose State. Which don't really mean all that much.
Yeah, the whole argument just went out the window.
Yeah, no, but I kind of think that this could be like that Boise game, right? If we're in a 1-possession game going into the last couple minutes, I don't think that the free throws take this beyond 6.5. I think that you're really relying on Colorado State really controlling this game if you like them here.
Nick, the one thing I guess I could be worried about if Colorado State just comes out, gets hot early, and then Wyoming's trailing, and just if they set the tempo, but like any game like that can happen, right?
Yeah, that's a risk in every game.
Exactly, but I just 6.5, unless I'm missing something with injuries or anything, I can't overthink this, and I really do think the revenge spot is just being used in this spot. I really do.
Mm-hmm. I'm with you.
And one last thing, again, shortest travel Wyoming will have on the road, so it's not like they're flying out to Las Vegas. They're literally just taking a quick bus trip.
Yeah, these schools are less than an hour apart, just straight up and down I-25.
Well, if it's a trap, I'm going head first in it.
So let's take a look at poll results for this. So the winning vote getter was Wyoming plus 6.5 on the under at 43%, or 16 votes. Wyoming overall got 24 votes. The under overall got 20 votes. So with 65%, it is Wyoming plus 6.5 as the poll winner in this one. So we are 2 for 2 on consensus plays. Is that good? Is that bad? We will have to find out. AJ Nels, first time chat, says, too good to be true. I mean, it might be. It's definitely within the realm of possibility that Colorado State just comes in and blows them out.
Was he trying to say too good to be trap spot? I don't know. Kind of didn't make sense. Maybe he was saying something.
I think he meant too good to be true. And Dagger Dylan, also first time chat, said St. John's is sketch. Yeah, I think I like the Wyoming play a little bit more than the St. John's play. I'll say that much. Yeah, I mean, and Wyoming is a wagon. I think they have an old logo that literally has a wagon in it.
That's a really good point.
So,
Nick, if we talk about like the best like sleeper teams, you got to put Wyoming up there. Colorado State's kind of like people know about them at this point. Roddy, right? Like Roddy Rich. Like now, I'm like I've been on that train, right? Graham Ike, man, dude is good. Dude is really good, and I think he's gonna have a big game. And Hunter Maldonado, another solid player. This is just gonna be a great game. I almost wanted to put this as the game of the day, Nick, but
yeah, I know we've done that once before already.
Yeah.
We had Colorado State, San Diego State as game of the day, but that was a day without a lot of ranked teams. There's some actual good power conference games today.
I would not put this in a lay piece, Colorado State.
No, I don't think so.
Speaking of a lay piece, though.
Speaking of a lay piece. Yeah. I'm going to play the video clip for category number 3, but if this is a potential lay piece.
Mid-major spotlight.
Millions on the table, that's major. I turn dirt into diamonds, that's major.
So, category number 3, mid-major spotlight, where we want to highlight a couple mid-major teams that you may not have seen before, but you should check out because it is quite likely that at least one of them is going to be playing in March and could either make or break your bracket. Also, Ben, it's pronounced Ike, not Ike.
Oh, Ike.
Yeah, I was gonna say something.
Square.
Chat said something, so figured.
You know what's stupid is I knew that I don't even. So my apologies.
So our mid-major spotlight game today is from the Missouri Valley Conference, and it's featuring a team that we've actually already had on the mid-major spotlight segment once before, and that is Missouri State. So today, Missouri State is at home hosting Bradley. Missouri State favored by 5.5 at home. Over/under currently sitting at 141.5. So Ben, why don't you start us off?
Yes. So first and foremost, Sunday, I was on the under in Missouri State, Northern Iowa. Watched the whole game, and you know what's funny, Nick? In my head, I was like, this game is either gonna go under by like 10 points, or potentially it's gonna fly over, and that doesn't mean anything if you bet the under, right? You don't get any like brownie points for that. Like, hey, I told you. It's like it's a loss is a loss, right? That game was really weird. Northern Iowa was shooting like the Warriors back in 2016. AJ Green, not the Georgia wide receiver, and well, I guess he's the Cardinals now. Not the wide receiver. The player for Northern Iowa was hot, and they couldn't miss. And Isaiah Mosley only had 6 points. It was just a weird game. I think they're going to bounce back. And I know, it's the bounce back, whatever, da-da-da-da-da. But there's reasons why. Because, Nick, it is senior day. But that's one of the small reasons why. Senior day coming off of a bad lost by 20. And it's also a game, too, where these two teams faced each other. And let's see here. I'm looking at the score.
It was 71-69 Missouri State win. Missouri State, that was at Bradley. Yep. Missouri State was favored by 1.
Yep. And it was a tough game. And no surprise that the spread was like that. But since that point, I think Missouri State has really proven themselves as like being like a solid mid-major team. But Bradley is a team that we need to talk about too. They have some solid players too as well. But in this spot, Nick, coming off a bad loss, they need to stay atop the Missouri Valley Conference. Isaiah Mosley coming off a bad game. And also, Gage Prim has been playing really good basketball. He had a great game on Sunday. It's a senior day for him. I think him stepping up with Mosley is going to be huge because we didn't get that last game. We just had Prim. If both those guys can have decent games, the point production will be there. And I think Missouri State is in a really good spot to by 10 plus points. Really do believe.
Yeah. And so I think the thing with this Missouri State team, kind of like you were talking about with that Northern Iowa game, is in the letdown spots that this team has had. So that Northern Iowa game last time out, their game where they lost against Indiana State earlier this year. And I think even their loss recently against Loyola Chicago. The thing that gets them is when teams get really hot from 3. And I mean, on one point, like, no shit, when you allow a team to shoot 50% from 3, you're probably not going to win. But I mean, that is kind of the recipe to success against Missouri State is just high volume and high efficiency from deep. I mean, that's like the only way that teams beat them. And this Bradley team, even in that first game, Bradley shot 44% from 3 on 25 attempts, which is crazy. That's 11 of 25. But this is a team that on the season only shoots 34.5% from 3. So I don't think that's going to happen. This Bradley team is good. Like Justin Andreas said, I don't want anybody to underestimate this Bradley team. I think that they're a lot better than their 16-12 record indicates.
100% agree.
But I think at the same time that even though Missouri State won that game, they do have kind of more obvious paths to improvement. So I like Missouri State here as well.
Nick, to reiterate your point about a team getting hot, they were 13 for 28. Northern Iowa was on Sunday against me. They also were 20 for 28 from the field. I mean, it was one of those games where at times there was some bad defense being played, but they were making everything. Like any of those like mid-range type shots, they were going in. They were contested too. Like it was one of those games. And if you don't believe me, go look at Northern Iowa and how many points they put up over the last few games. Like 95 is like we're talking 95, 72, 58, 53, 74 in OT, and then 95. That's an outlier.
Yeah.
It is. So I'm not overreacting by that spot, but I also think the market at 5.5 is kind of respecting the spot for Missouri State. I wish it was like 4, but you would never get that. I would.
It was last night, I think, right? I think this was at 4.5 last night.
Maybe it was. Yeah. Well, that's a good sign in my opinion. I mean, the market's moving and they like the spot for Missouri State. Isaiah Mosley, the guy to watch for. Nick, this could be his last game too. I know he has 1 year left of eligibility, but I think he's in the top 20 in leading scoring. I think he might try to go to the NBA. So who knows? I don't want to just speculate and say it's his last game.
When I watch Isaiah Mosley, I do not see NBA player.
It's fair. 40%.
I guess maybe he's an NBA player. He's not a ball handler in the NBA. He turns it over way too much at college. But he could be like a 2-guard.
He reminds me of those high school players where he's like the most talented on the team. We just want the ball in your hands, right? And then he's got to be a 2.
Yeah, no, he's a legitimately excellent 3-point shooter. He's like better than 40% for his career.
Gage Prim though, Nick.
I love Gage Prim.
Yeah, he's solid. So it's going to be a fun game to watch. Again, we aren't like the biggest supporters of parlays in the sense of like killing your bank. Well, like building your bankroll. You can do them on the side for fun, but I would support this play for Missouri State as like a lay piece for those who like to those type of activities.
So poll results are in, and we have, for the third time in 3 picks, we have consensus.
Oh, chat.
So
you guys better not fuck up today, chat.
Yeah, you better not go 0-5 again, because that means that we're going below 500 again. So Missouri State picked up 19 votes. Bradley picked up 8 votes. The over picked up 17 votes, and the under picked up 10. So Missouri State is the highest vote getter. Total lean from the chat was the over, 141.5.
I'm pumped for that one. Yeah, there's a lot of good games today.
And yeah, doing poorly said Mosley has good size, is an excellent shooter. Yeah, he does have an NBA future. He doesn't have a future as a point guard, because he's just way too reckless dribbling the ball.
What was the model, Nick, for this one?
Model.
I know it had Missouri State.
It definitely has Missouri State. Yeah, I've got Missouri State by like 6.5.
And I think at this point, Nick, like in the season, I'm and you would have to elaborate more on this, but I'm okay with like playing these spots that don't have Missouri State winning by like 10.
Oh, I completely agree.
Yeah, it's just things are tighter, and we actually one of the best handicappers that I really, well, not even a handicapper, better that I respect, who works with like very very good handicappers, mentioned that as we get later into February and March, the spreads naturally get tighter, and the weight of a point and a point and a half is worth a lot more than it was earlier in the season. I'm sure you guys are picking up on that, right? Like you're not seeing these spreads that just are like, whoa, right? It's getting tighter, and that just means you have to do a little more work. And it's okay if for example, he says Missouri State by 8. Like that would be fantastic. I agree. G Unit has 6.5. Like that's good news. If G Unit had 6.5 back in December, also, and we had maybe 6, it's like, right?
I think Data also has this at 6.5. We were talking in Discord about some stuff last night.
Shout out Fruity in the chat.
Yeah, also shout out Fruity. Back to being a college basketball capper. Wow, those almost as if a lot of those are also plays that we talked about in Discord last night.
Guys, I kid you not. I've just been blindly tailing Fruity's NHL plays. No parlays. I'm up like 14 units over the last month. Like, it's great.
Yeah, no,
They call that passive income, right?
Yeah, Ben and I both are not the type to just blindly tail people, but
No, I don't think I've ever blindly tailed anyone in the last like 4 years. I could consistently. Like I will like here and there, but pretty cool.
yeah.
Shout out Fruity in the chat.
Shout out Fruity. All right. So I saw somebody earlier asking about Providence. So let's go ahead now and hop into category number 4.
Game of the day.
The ball is tipped, and there you are. You're running for your life. You're a shooting star.
So category number 4, game of the day, is going to be Xavier and Providence today. This game is gross, right? It's going to be a good game, but it's gross.
Nick, I'm gonna say this to start. I have a feeling that chat and I are not gonna be on the same side here.
Yeah,
I haven't looked at the poll results yet.
I think a lot of people have really strong opinions about this game, but everybody also has different opinions about this game.
Very true. So, my opinion isn't as strong as probably others are on the other side. But I have to lean Xavier here. I think this is a spot where Providence at home, and I think also, Nick, if they win this, they control their destiny for the conference in the Big East. I think the Renea boys were saying something about that.
Yeah, I think Providence controls their destiny if they win. Which means they control their destiny.
They control their destiny. But guys, on paper, Xavier and Providence are basically neck and neck. Like, they're both really good teams, and I think Providence, in the public's perception, is just a better team. Like, by, I don't want to say a huge margin. When people look at this, right, Providence at home, oh, wow, right? Like, this is a no-brainer. But I just don't see it that way, Nick. I think Xavier is a team that, in my eyes, is just as good as Providence. And also, I'm looking at the last matchup. They lost by 3, right? At home. It was a really close game. Had a really bad 3-point shooting performance in that spot. I'm going to take the points with Xavier, Nick. No, it's not popular, it's not sexy, and it's probably my least confident of all these plays I've given out leans for, but I'm going to go with Xavier here.
Yeah, so I think I see people F. Cager, I probably mispronounced that, but it says no Nate Johnson for Xavier. Yeah, so there's a key injury on each side.
Yep.
So Nate Johnson is Xavier's 5th leading scorer, averages about 27 minutes a game, about 10 points per game. Excellent 3-point shooter at almost 40% for Xavier. And I'm showing Al Durham is questionable for Providence, which usually means that he's going to be out. If anybody has any kind of confirmation on whether Durham is playing or not playing, that would be awesome. I haven't seen anything definitive in either direction, but he's Providence's 2nd leading scorer. He averages 13.4 points per game. Guy who has the ball a lot for this team. So I think that both of those things are important to keep an eye on as the day moves forward. And if you are on this or want to be on this, should probably wait for injury confirmation before placing your bet. All of that said, I actually agree with Ben here. I'm going to take Xavier. Providence, they just don't feel like a 22-3 team. And yeah, Durham's been out. I just on my source for injuries, I see him listed as questionable for this game. I'm assuming he's out, but I want confirmation.
Curious what Dilberto feels about this game.
Dilberto just said,
there it is.
if he's out, I like Xavier.
But Nick, I think you just kind of alluded to it, like 22-3, right? It doesn't it feel like the market and the public just feel like Providence is this way better team, Xavier?
Mm-hmm.
It's not the case. Like,
yeah, well, I mean,
I get the argument that they're better, but how? It's splitting hairs at this point.
Yeah, although like, is it actually reflected in this line though? I mean, Providence is only a 1.5 point favorite at home. Like that tells you that
in the line it isn't, but the percent. I always actually I need to do a better job of this when I say like the market, right? Like what does that mean? So let me explain because I need to do a better job of it. The market Vegas side of things is respecting that. The public perception isn't, right? They're looking at this as, wow, Providence? Oh, easy, right? So that's a good point because those are two different things. This is going to be a good game. I'm not going to have any action on it.
Yeah, no, this is definitely a game that I'm not going to have any action on. So chat, vote-wise here, actually likes the over. So Providence minus 1.5 and the over was by far the biggest vote getter. But Xavier and the over got more votes than Providence and the under. So the over 137 is chat's pick here. Model leans the under on the total. Not something I'm going to have any... Again, not going to have any action on. I see Cubs Mafia says line is 1. I think it depends on the book. So when I was looking, there were definitely books that had 1, books that had 1.5. It looked like more had 1.5. I'll pull up unabated again right now.
So while you pull that up, Nick, I want to point out one other thing. This is really important. So first, if you go to Action Network and you look at the number of bets, which is the number of bets that I think people lock in on Action, so, it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
This game has 14,000. The next closest is Duke at 10,000. So my point here is I think that's a good representation of how much money is coming in on this game. Furthermore, it looks like Providence is getting 90% of the bets, 50% of the money, and we know that we aren't positive where this data is coming from, but I can conclude that there is a lot of money coming in on Providence, and the line is kind of staying put, right? It's not really... I mean, if anything, it could be a little bit of reverse line movement the other way, but it's not jumping up to 2.5, and I think that's somewhat telling how Vegas feels about this game.
Mm-hmm.
Call it the hold the line spot. Like, money's coming in, but no. We believe that minus 1.5 is kind of our 50-50 probability on each side. And if the public thinks differently, you can bet Providence, but we're going to stay and stick put with minus 1.5.
I agree, and so yeah, on the comment of this being at 1 versus 1.5, it's bouncing back and forth. So FanDuel, which is the book that Cubs Mafia cited, has gone from 1 this is just in the last 4 hours, has gone from 1.5 to 1 to 2 to 1 to 2 to 1 to 1.5 to 1 to 1.5 back to 1 to 1.5 to 1 to 1.5 back to 1.
And Nick, that probably aligns with what I'm saying, right? Like, so many people are betting it. They're probably getting sharp action. It's probably a little bit of two-way too, right? Where it's like 1.5 and then spot back. And I know it's just a half point, but
yeah,
you'll see that sometimes with a game like this. Versus like American Lehigh, it has 1,000 bets on action, right? Like, you're not going to see that crazy line move within the last 4 hours when a game isn't getting as much volume.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, so people and talking about the Discord link in the chat. I think that link should be good. It's been good for months, so I don't think it would break. Good. Z Snyder said it just worked for him. But if you are having problems with the Discord link, feel free to just like DM one of us.
I hope your IP address is not blocked.
Oh yeah, I hope we haven't already banned you.
That could be we don't ban a lot of people, but I mean, it. Nick, actually, one quick story. I had a guy who I believed like said he wasn't blocked. I think it was because someone was on Discord at their university, and the IP address was the same, and we blocked someone at their university, and he couldn't get in because then he went to another network and got in.
That's kind of hilarious.
It is hilarious. I need to figure out what school that was, but I remember he told me, and at first I'm like, is this guy just trying to like?
It was probably Houston, because I know the guy that we banned was just like all over Houston, everything in the NCAA tournament last year, and just being a massive dick to everybody.
Yeah. So, and that's just how Discord operates. That's out of our control.
Mm-hmm.
All right, best bets, Nick. What do we got?
Yeah, well, we gotta play the clip.
Get us
Big
pumped.
Braden plays.
Come on. Think. Brain blast!
So, it is time to talk about our favorite picks today. So, chat. One thing, I usually do this before playing the clip, but I got excited. I need to know what you guys are on, chat. So, what are your favorite plays today? If it's a spread, please give me the team that you're on and the actual number that the spread is at. If it's a total, give me both teams and the number. And if it's a money line, give me the team and the money line price. I'm going to look for games that pop up twice, since we have so many people in here. Delberto said Jake Bean on Utah State looks like Jimmy Neutron. He actually does. Why is that so true?
Should we replace?
Put a picture of Jake Bean on there. That's.
I'll be like, man, if I would give you a little NIL sponsorship if we could.
Mm-hmm.
But got to be careful with the betting stuff. But Nick, do you want me to start this off?
No, I need to get the poll ready, Ben.
Oh.
So, I see we've got Rutgers. I see a couple of people on Wake Forest. Minus 2.5. Davidson minus 8.5.
I knew that was going to be up there. Kind of like that though, actually. But
I've seen Kentucky a couple times. Kentucky minus 7.5, and let's see, one more. Just trying to find something that I see twice. So I see VMI plus 2.5.
Out of nowhere.
That's a weird one, but I like weird ones. Can you see you can see my dog, her reflection in the television behind me? She's like on her back.
You guys are wild in the chat sometimes.
Mm-hmm. All right, so poll is up. Apologies if your favorite bets didn't make it in. Ben, what is your top play today?
So this is the first time that my top play has been a game we've already covered. I'm going to try to take a guess which one it is, because I made two very compelling arguments for two of these games.
I think it's Missouri State.
You are correct. Missouri State, minus 5.5. It's going to be my best play today. I love the spot. I love Isaiah Mosley coming off a bad game. 6 points. Prim is going to have his way in the paint. It's senior day. Could be Mosley's last game, too. Also, I just think it's a really good spot. They have to stay atop Missouri Valley Conference, and I think they come out focused, ready to go at home. I think they win by 8 to 10 points.
Yeah, I like this Missouri State play a lot. This is probably my second favorite pick today. But for my favorite, I'm going to go kind of completely off the board here. I'm going to take the Jacksonville Dolphins.
The Dolphins, baby.
Minus 6.5 at home against North Florida. Model loves this. It's Wagon Wednesday. Jacksonville's been a wagon, especially at home. This North Florida team is a little beat up. Their top two scorers have been out recently. And I believe that they're both going to be out again in this game. They had a guy step up. I think he won Conference Player of the Week last week without Hendrickson and Placer. But I don't think it's enough. North Florida's got a couple good wins at home recently, but on the road, I don't know. I like Jacksonville here to cover 6.5, and it's Fruity approved.
Do we have a model on that?
On this, Jacksonville by, we'll say Jacksonville by like 9.
Okay.
I think they take this by like 9 or 10.
I like it.
And this line is moving in Jacksonville's favor. This was like 5.5 to 6 last night. Is up to 6.5 now. I really actually wouldn't be surprised if it hits 7 by close.
So, Nick, I definitely want to touch on 2 games. Chat.
Yeah. What games are those?
I think we have to talk about Rutgers and Michigan.
Yeah. Rutgers is a really, really interesting game. This Rutgers team is one of the strangest teams in the country.
The splits home and away are pretty
I think.
drastic.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it gets to that point where you almost feel like a square, saying like, I'm gonna bet Rutgers at home and bet against them on the road. But I'm pretty sure if you've done that this season, you're up. This is a weird game, but it's weird for a few other reasons, and it's tricky because Juwan Howard, he's suspended until March Madness. This is their first game with the interim. Now, I was getting some intel, spacing the guy's name, but the interim has been there a while, and I think he is respected, so take that for what it's worth. How is Michigan going to respond, right?
Yeah, I think that's the question.
And, I can sit here, Nick, and speculate, like we do on a lot of things, right? But I think they're going to come out fired up. Will they? I guess we'll find out. But I think a first half spread, I know we don't give out a lot of first half derivative plays, but a first half spread, I don't think is the worst idea. If you're agreeing with me on the idea that Michigan's going to come out fired up because they were pissed off that their head coach got suspended. I'm going to leave that there.
Yeah, this is a game that I don't want to touch with a 10 football. Just
Jacksonville is the Dolphins.
It's Jacksonville, not Jacksonville State.
Fun fact, Jacksonville State is not in Florida, by the way.
Yeah, it's in Alabama.
Michigan is ready. Are they? I hope.
Yeah, we'll have to see. That's a game that I could not possibly want to bet on less.
Yeah, it's scary. Look, Michigan, if they shoot the 3-ball well, which this isn't one of those like rocket science type of statements, they're probably going to cover. I mean, look at their last 3. I guess they did beat, but man, 4 for 25, 4 for 20, 4 for 17. They gotta figure that out why they aren't bad percentages. That's not going to win you games.
Yeah.
10. Tough stretch coming up too, Nick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Coda, I completely agree. Rutgers is pesky, maximum effort. Not a team. I think even on the road at this point that not a team I want to bet against. But I also really don't want to bet on them.
They play really hard. They're gonna give it everything they got to the last final seconds. So.
Mm-hmm.
This could be
who's suspended for Michigan. Their head coach, Juwan Howard.
Yeah. He did this. Watch. He went like this. Hit this. It was like in his head, he's like, I know I shouldn't punch him, like the fight or flight, and his hand turned into a slap.
Mm-hmm. I see Jay Smitty, his spamming all caps play of the day is Duke -5.
All right, we'll remember.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think there might be one player on maybe. Last thing I was going to say about that game is this could be like a live betting opportunity. I hate to just say that, but I think it does make sense with big factors like head coaches out.
Yeah.
That's big. The other game, Nick, Davidson,
yeah. Also, so chat poll results came in, and Wake Forest was the winner, by the way.
Oh, wow.
For top play of the day. Which
I'm surprised.
I'm not surprised.
Bate's out. That's scary.
Yeah.
And Nick, we actually have like 5 minutes, by the way.
Yeah, Ben and I have a meeting
call.
starting up in a couple
but
minutes.
We're good. I reached out to him. So real quick, let's talk about Wake Forest and Davidson, and we're gonna wrap it up. So you can start with Wake Forest.
Yeah, so I really like this Wake Forest team. I do. They're playing at Clemson, only 2.5, or depending on the book, 2.5 or 3 point favorites. This is a line that feels sketch to me. It really does. I feel like Wake Forest should be favored in this game by more like 4.5 or 5 against Clemson. Clemson, I mean, they've been missing one of their best players. I don't know if he's still in or out, but they've lost 6 in a row. I don't think that they've. I guess only one of two. I guess 2 of those games actually they've kept it within 2.5. But this it's just another game I really, really don't want to touch. Wake Forest, if they're not turning the ball over, could be a team to make a run in March. But they have such terrible turnover issues that they kind of struggle to put teams away because of that.
Which betting on a team like that can be so frustrating,
Mm-hmm.
right? When you spread 6, they're up like 8, and you're just like, ugh, and they just can't put the nail in the coffin.
Yes, that's a game that I want to stay away from. That's just chat liked it, which is why it's up here. And then Davidson. So Ben, what are your thoughts on that?
I like it. It's one of those games where I know it's going to be a highly public game. It seems kind of square, but against Duquesne, I have to side with Davidson. But it does like scare me a little bit, and I haven't bet it yet. I'm still deciding. Kind of curious, a few other things, but that's my initial thoughts there.
Yeah, I would have to side with Davidson as well. Duquesne is just a bad team. Oh, if
Davidson's
Foster
streaky.
Lawyer may be out for Davidson. That might be why this line is only 8.5. Yeah, I'm showing him listed as questionable, which could mean literally anything.
Right. Yeah, college basketball injury reports are sometimes
very sketch.
Sense of. So I think that's going to wrap it up, guys. We have a call we got to jump onto. The surgical stream kicked off, so go check that out. Any last words, Nick?
No. Yeah. So we'll be back streaming tomorrow. Not with Ben. It'll be me and Vsauce making his stream debut. And I think we have a third person as well. I don't want to say a name because it's not like 100% confirmed. But we'll be back sometime tomorrow. Still figuring out the time.
Yeah, we'll just follow us on. Make sure you're following here first and foremost, so you can get notifications. Follow us on Twitter, and we will let you know.
Yeah,
live.
Yeah, that'll be. We'll make an announcement about that later today. So thanks everyone for being here. Good luck with the bets, and we will see you all tomorrow. And Dilberto, I would love nothing more than that. Let's talk on Twitter.
Please.
All right. See you everyone.